Hey guys, in this video I want to briefly talk about new unique item, new tincture, sap of the seasons, which I think potentially can be very broken. I hate when we put caps on fun. So this is fun, and mark my words, I think we're gonna put a cap on this to like 100 at most. Ooh, ooh, that's not good. Not my fault, but I kind of predicted that it would be like that. Although I kind of predicted that we would cap to around 100 mana burn stacks, which is how much you need to reach 200% elemental penetration if you have 100% increased tincture effect. Now I want to talk about this, and I'm gonna show my build that by the time you are watching this is probably no longer viable. With this build I was able to farm tier 17 maps. It had great damage. Fighting tier 17 bosses was still iffy because it's not tanky, but the damage wise it was great, but it wasn't like completely broken. However, the reason why this is getting nerfed is not because of me, but actually because of other players that were using Druggery belt. Now you would think, wait, another unique cause this unique to be nerfed? Why not nerf that unique? Good question. So people were essentially getting 6000% penetration. My build is only getting around up to 900% penetration. And people were not really abusing, but found a way to get to 6000. But that was a group play, and I'm solo play. So people in the group play figured out how to build around insane life sustain using life flask. They were getting like 60,000 life regen to all nearby allies, and we could ramp up insane amount of mana burn stacks, which actually were life burn stacks with the keystone. So we could just get 6000% penetration in group play and just, I guess, just farm blighted maps only because of blighted maps, and we are getting this kind of cap. This cap, by the way, is absolutely completely going to destroy my build, and whatever I invested is kind of irrelevant now. I don't really want to complain too much because I predicted that it's gonna get nerfed because it was broken in my opinion. But the way GG, it's just funny. Every time I say, oh, it's definitely gonna be nerfed and we're gonna put a cap on it, because that's what we did in the past and that's how we kind of ruin fun. And I don't want to be mean, but obviously I am salty. I really enjoyed this build. Yeah, it probably does deserve an F, but I think GG should reconsider this. Instead of 200 cap, keep it at 500. It's not gonna be like absolutely busted. 500% penetration is still a lot, but it's not gonna be like 5000, right? So it's not gonna be like absolutely insanely broken, and it will still allow a build around this, because with 200% elemental penetration, which is still a lot, there's no reason to build completely around this, because your limit is essentially 100 mana burn stacks if you have 100% increased tincture effect. Besides that, like, there's no reason to have more mana burn stacks. So it's sad that we are nerfing it this way, and instead of, like, we could put 500% cap and then next league like nerf it properly, or think of a better way to nerf it, rather than just completely killing the fun out of the new item. So I hope SGG still reconsiders this, but I highly doubt. This is like a very, what's the phrase, knee-jerk reaction kind of nerf. Granted, it is kind of like a deserved nerf, but they could put a higher cap, because those who are farming those blighted maps, we're still gonna be farming those blighted maps. We're still gonna have crazy amount of damage, and it's still gonna be enough of them. But those weaker builds, they're just collateral damage. Those weaker builds are just getting completely destroyed, and those strong builds are still gonna be able to do what we are doing. So I don't know if this nerf is actually gonna fix what we think it's gonna fix, but yeah, like I said, I don't want to complain too much. I want to talk about this build just briefly, how I build this, and you can still like implement this technique to be able to sustain. I'm able to sustain over 400 mana burn stacks. And it's very easy to ramp up mana burn stacks. Literally all it takes is like one attack and I can get back to like 200 mana burn stacks. So I'm using 3 tinctures, actually only 2 active. So first I activate these, and this tincture allows you to gain mana burn stacks on hit. And if you're using barrage or any other attack skill that hits like many times per attack, it's very easy to ramp up a lot of mana burn stacks. Even if you're not using barrage, if you're hitting multiple enemies, like big enemy pack with chain, just one attack and you're gonna be getting like 200, even 300 stacks very quickly. So basically I do this, like charge it up and then quickly from fat switch to fork, and that's it. That's how easy it is to charge up stacks. And once you need to reset it, just deactivate, wait this cool down, activate phase 2, ramp, done, and do damage. It's very easy. So I want to talk briefly about that and how to sustain mana burn stacks, and I will include path of building import code in the description, but keep in mind that you won't be able to play this exact build anymore. By the way, I'm still using Quill Rain, and Quill Rain was able to farm tier 17 maps. So the main thing is you want to lower your maximum mana in ideal cases to exactly 100 mana. Below 100 it won't matter, because you're gonna have a minimum of 1 mana drain per second, per mana burn stack. Lowering below 100 mana won't matter. I am using the power of purpose, so 80% of my maximum mana is converted to twice as much armor, so 80% of my mana is gone, and then I use Nexus gloves, and that's it. How to counter this degen? You essentially stacking flat mana regen. So Chevron's Revelation, catalysts are expensive, keep in mind, and now it's probably not worth it because you don't need like 400 mana burn stacks. Chevron's Revelation gives actually up to 48 flat mana per second in the left ring slot, and then Blue Pearl Amulet with a lot of regen, with catalyst, another ring with a lot of regen. You can also benchcraft a Hybrid Life plus flat mana regen. There are Abyss Jewels with flat mana regen. I'm not stacking Abyss Jewels, just using one. You can also get increased mana recovery rate on a Shaper's Belt, I believe. There's also Watcher's Eye for increased mana recovery rate while affected by Clarity. And Clarity, of course, gives a lot of flat mana regen, which you also kind of have to link to Arrogance. Okay, when it comes to path of building, it does have a pretty big error for tinctures right now, so your numbers may actually be very incorrect. And there's another, not error, but a problem in game, where the more mana burn stacks you have, the more kind of unavailable mana you gain. Because of the calculations or server tick rate or calculations, and because you have more degen when you have mana pool, but you also have more regen when you have mana pool, the mana keeps, how do I even say it, keeps getting like erased. You don't reserve more mana, but you keep losing more. It's like a fake reserve mana. So I have 24 out of 97 mana available, but once I start stacking near like 400 stacks, I have like 10 available mana, so everything has to be life tap, everything, and there's kind of like a hard cap of how much you can stack in general. So the path of building, what it has incorrect is tincture quality. Tincture quality in path of building incorrectly multiplies all tincture effect by a more multiplier. So this has 25% quality, so it takes all the tincture effect that I have and multiplies that by 25%, which is incorrect. That's not how it works. Tincture quality only affects the tincture itself and not all the tincture effects. So in path of building, you kind of have to import the build and then remove the quality from your tincture. Otherwise, you're gonna be getting over 200% tincture effect, and that's gonna bump up the damage by a lot more. Because instead of 1% from this flask, from this tincture, you're gonna be getting 3%. Normally, with 100% effect of tincture, you would be getting 2% LE pen per mana burn stack. In path of building, it can incorrectly calculate to 3% per mana burn stack. So imagine you get 500 or let's say 400 mana burn stacks. Instead of getting 800% penetration, now you are getting 1,200% penetration, which is not right. In game it would not be like that. And I believe only Warden can reach over 100% tincture effect because of the anointment, 40% here, and then the small nodes give extra like 13%, so 70%, and this right now has 146% tincture effect modifiers, and that's with 0 quality. So if it had actually quality, it would be over 200%. Actually, let me show you. So if I set this quality to 25, which is what it has in the game right now, look at my damage. It shoots up by a lot more because I'm just getting so much more penetration. That's just for one tincture, and I have 2 tinctures. I did modify them in path of building to kind of fix that. And also another problem in path of building, the ranged weapons, the tinctures are not working with ranged weapons for now. I assume that's gonna get fixed. Like this one is a red text, so it doesn't work. So what I did is just modify the flask and remove the word range, so it's just weapon damage penetrates instead of ranged weapon. Instead of melee weapon damage penetrates. There are many other ways you can do this. I already talked about that in my last video. Why am I even bothering? I don't think that this would be salvaged if I were to limit this to only 100 mana burn stacks, which would be 200 penetration. It goes down to 2.5 million DPS, which is not really red tier map viable with this kind of setup where I'm pretty much glass cannon. This is not really gonna be viable. But there are many ways to kind of improve this, like getting much more expensive buff and all the other items and blah blah blah, and I don't care because I lost interest in this because of this nerf, and it was a very fun build to play, and I already have an idea for the next build. It may end up just being a meme build idea and not really very viable, so yeah, until then, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.